September 2010, the East China Sea. A Chinese fishing trawler collides with Japanese Coast Guard ships. A minor incident. At least, that's what the world thought. But behind closed doors in Beijing, a silent order was issued. No announcements, no press conference, no warning, and overnight, Japan's factories began to choke. Toyota, Sony, Honda, production lines slowed, then stopped. Because the materials they depended on, the invisible elements inside every electric motor, every battery, every circuit, were suddenly gone. China had cut off rare earth exports. In that moment, the world discovered a terrifying truth. The most advanced economies on Earth were dependent on a single country for the building blocks of the future. Not oil, not gas, but something far more powerful, the electric stack. And China already owned it. The 20th century was ruled by oil, but the 21st runs on electrons, electric vehicles, drones, AI systems, robotics. All of them depend on a hidden architecture, a layered system of materials, chemistry, and infrastructure. This is the electric stack. Batteries, magnets, motors, power electronics, embedded intelligence, and for 30 years. While the West chased software and digital dominance, China focused on something else: control of matter, control of energy, control of the physical world. They mined it, refined it, scaled it, until the cost of the entire system collapsed by 99%. They called it progress, but it was something else, a slow, methodical, industrial takeover, because whoever controls the electric stack controls the future of energy itself. To understand how deep this goes, you have to leave the factories and go to Central Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, a place that holds over half the world's cobalt, a mineral essential for high-performance batteries. But here's the twist. China doesn't just buy cobalt, it controls it. Over 70% of the major copper and cobalt mines in this region are now under Chinese control. And they didn't get there by accident. In 2016, one of the world's most valuable mines, Tenke Fungurume, was quietly transferred from an American company to a Chinese firm. Backed by billions in state bank financing, not private capital, state power, structured deals, hidden contracts, strategic clauses, including one critical weapon, right of first refusal, meaning, even if the world tries to buy these resources, China gets the first chance, and it never says no. So today, even when the West thinks it's diversifying supply, it's often buying materials that still trace back to Chinese-controlled systems. A supply chain that looks global but answers to one center. But here's where the story gets more dangerous. Mining is not the real power. Refining is. Because raw materials are useless until they're chemically transformed, and that's where China dominates. Nearly 3/4 of the world's cobalt refining, more than half of lithium processing, almost all graphite. Everything flows through China, and in 2024, they made their move. As global demand surged, China flooded the market. Prices collapsed up to 80%. Western projects died overnight, not because they lacked resources, but because they couldn't survive China's pricing. This wasn't competition. This was economic warfare. Because China isn't just selling materials. They're defining the system those materials must fit into. And once you adopt their standards, you're locked in. But this story isn't just about China rising. It's also about the West letting go. In the 1980s, General Motors created one of the most important technologies ever invented, neodymium magnets, the core of electric motors, missile systems, modern defense. And then, in 1995, they sold it. Magnequench, an American crown jewel, transferred to Chinese ownership, factory dismantled, machines shipped, knowledge extracted. By 2006, the last U.S. magnet plant was gone. At the exact same time, America shut down its Bureau of Mines, abandoning the field entirely. What followed wasn't just industrial decline, it was dependency. Today, even advanced defense systems rely on magnets processed in China. The future wasn't stolen, it was sold. And then came the builders, Robin Zeng, a man born in a rural village who would become the architect of the battery age. His philosophy? Keep your gambling spirit strong. And he did. He started small. Batteries for consumer electronics, even powered the iPod, but he saw something bigger. The real prize wasn't devices, it was energy. So instead of building cars, he built the system behind them, CATL, a company that would supply everyone, BMW, Volkswagen, Tesla, not a competitor, but the landlord of the electric economy. And with government backing, the growth was explosive, from $1 billion to $9 billion in just 1 year. Because China used both sides of power, the carrot, subsidies, and the stick, you only qualify if you use Chinese batteries. This wasn't a market, it was orchestration. But controlling production was only phase 1. Phase 2 was controlling energy itself. Enter the state grid, the largest utility on Earth. China built something no one else did. Ultra-high voltage transmission lines, 800,000 volts, electricity traveling thousands of kilometers, with almost no loss. They built 37 of them, the rest of the world 2, and then they exported it. Brazil, Chile, Philippines, Peru, entire national grids linked to Chinese infrastructure, and now a vision, a global supergrid connecting continents, Siberian hydro, Sahara solar, Arctic wind, all flowing through a system designed in Beijing, a single network, with a single question: if one country controls the grid, who controls the switch? And just as the world tries to catch up, China moves again, beyond lithium into sodium, batteries made from salt, cheaper, more stable, immune to supply shocks, and already scaling. At the same time, they're building the next frontier. Solid-state batteries, 1,000-kilometer range, 10-minute charging. And here's the twist. China already holds nearly half of the global patents. They're not just winning the current race, they've already designed the next one. This is the new world, the age of the electrostate, where power doesn't come from oil fields, but from supply chains, from systems, from control over how energy is built, moved, and stored. China didn't just find resources, they built a system where every alternative became too expensive to compete. And now the world faces a choice: keep chasing supply or redesign demand itself, because the game has changed, and the country that controls the electric stack doesn't just power the future, it decides who gets to participate in it. So here's the question. Did the world just witness the greatest industrial strategy ever executed, or the biggest strategic mistake ever ignored? Tell me what you think in the comments. If you found this eye-opening, hit like. so more people see what's really happening behind the scenes. And if you want deep breakdowns of power, strategy, and global control, subscribe to World Power Files, because the next story might already be shaping your future.